You're listening to That Home Loan Hub. I'm Zibuni Salimova, here to make home loans and property investing simple, smart, and stress-free. Let's get you closer to your property dreams. Hey, listen up. This is going to be an interesting one because Elizabeth has sent me a challenge. This is a podcast, me versus her versus me, investment advisor versus a mortgage advisor. Let's go. What do you have for me? Bring it on.
Okay, I feel like you made this into way more of a challenge than I was expecting.
All right.
I feel like the question of property versus managed funds comes up quite a lot. Maybe people don't like say it like that, but also in New Zealand where everybody is so property centric, I feel like the underdog trying to get people to go into managed funds and get them to invest in something that isn't bricks and mortar. So I thought it could be interesting for us to share our different ideas on when you should invest in a property and when you should invest in a managed fund. Do you want to jump in with a pro for property first?
Absolutely. I've just realized I'm not wearing my headphones.
Oh.
I hope people heard you all along. All right. Property. I think this is the greatest time right now to invest into property because we are at the lowest in the property market. You don't need much to get in. If it's a new build, you only need 10% deposit, sometimes 15% if it's an investment property. If you're buying for you can even get in with 5%. So
Pretty compelling.
Right? And it will only grow in value over time, we hope.
Yeah.
Because we are at the lowest of the market. And the interest rates are very low as well. So we're talking about 4.5% to 5%. In terms of home loan rates, we have not seen it this low in the last 3 years. So definitely we're sitting at the bottom of the market right now. Go. What do you have for me?
I think it's a really good point because actually now is a terrible time for me to issue the challenge because actually it's a really good time in terms of accessibility. I mean, as much as possible in the Wellington market, accessibility into property. However, we have talked about, with managed funds, you can start with as little as $500. So even though, you could get into a property with 5% deposit, that's still going to be tens of thousands of dollars that we're trying to scrape together during a cost of living crisis. And often while people are trying to scrape that together, they're just putting it in a bank account and it's actually eroding with inflation. But they could be putting it into a managed fund, even a moderately sort of conservative to balanced one if they think they might use it in a couple of years, just to keep it ahead of inflation, just to actually get that money working for them while they save up, because property is a much bigger step. You do need a bigger start point.
True. So people that want to invest into investment fund, they can come to you and they can just have $500 saved up from the birthday monies that they would have received from someone or a little work bonus, right? Yeah. They can start investing. Versus for me, I guess, they need to work a little bit harder or maybe wait for their Kiwi savers to grow to get to that 5 to 10% point.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say a lot of the time when I talk to people, it comes down to, do they have equity but not cash? Then probably we're going to talk more about property and I'll, send them to someone like yourself. And if they've got cash but not equity, depends if they're like negative equity on their home, probably they're going to be paying down their mortgage is what they're going to do. But if they're just kind of like ticking away at their mortgage but they don't really have a lot of equity there, but they do have a little bit of surplus every week, we could just be tucking that away into a nice little investment for them that's actually going to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My question to you, do they have a commitment to continue to pay into the managed fund? So let's say they've started with $500.
Yep.
Do they have to contribute a minimum amount each month?
No. So you can set up a direct debit and do it regularly. You can do sporadic things. So a lot of contractors will kind of like save up and then a couple times a year when they've paid their tax bill, they know what they've got, then they'll put it in their investment. Or you can just leave it alone once you've started. So it's not, I feel like maybe you're going towards like compulsory savings almost, which is like the argument towards mortgages.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talk to that.
Yeah, because I guess now I'm shooting myself in the foot by saying, look, if you do end up buying a property, you do have to make payments. You have to make regular payments. And here you don't.
Yeah.
So there you go. I made an argument for you.
A con. It's like, there is a chance that people just are spending the money instead of making regular investments. So then a mortgage is often like a compulsory savings thing where they actually have to do it. So then the asset grows. But on the other side, for people who want to invest but they're not confident that they can meet a regular amount, they don't have to. Like they can just start investing now, and when they get a pay rise in a year or when their expenses drop, then they can start contributing at that point. And probably where an advisor comes in is that my job is often accountability. So I might say to people, hey, we're due for our review, and you said you were going to start a direct debit once you got past XYZ, and we're there now. So here's the direct debit form. Let's start setting you up with these contributions so that that investment actually grows even more. So the accountability piece, I think, is quite helpful. Whereas with a mortgage, the bank is your accountability. The bank will chase you if you don't pay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. What could be another me versus you point?
Well, another thing that I talk to people about is probably the hassle. Do you know, like for me, investment property doesn't appeal because it seems like a lot of work. Even if I have a property manager, which then is an added expense, I still feel like I need to be across things. I need to make sure it's healthy homes compliant and all of that stuff. Whereas a managed fund, I can just set it up and then, as we've just said, contribute or not, but I don't need to do anything for it. So for me, one of the pros is for time poor people, which is a lot of my client base. They're busy professionals. They have kids and work and sometimes side hustles and all of this stuff going on. They don't have time for another job or another obligation.
Oh, it's an expense, right? This year alone, I think I spent over $50,000 on my investment properties because they were absolutely ruined by the tenants as they were leaving, and I had to get full renovations done. And this is, plastering, painting, carpets, roofing, everything.
And sometimes it's really unexpected, right? Like something just goes wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Whereas managed fund, the worst that happens is the market goes down a little bit, but you leave it there and it will go up again. Okay. But you don't need to be doing any work with it. So it's really quite hands off other than meeting with me once or twice a year.
But see, my counter argument to that would be, even though I spend all this money renovating, I agree with that. But my counter argument would be, I'm a person that needs to see and touch and feel. And at least with those properties, I know they are there. They're on a piece of land. And worst comes to worst, I can always sell that, or I can always demolish it and build, 6 townhouses, et cetera, et cetera. At least it's there, and I can eyeball it. Versus managed funds, you can't really eyeball the companies that you're buying in a way.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, there's probably 2 aspects to it. One is a lot of people will really like having it on an app for that reason, is that they can actually, even though they shouldn't be looking at it all the time, because what are you doing? You're not touching this for 5 to 10 years. Like we've already discussed your plan. But they can open up their app and they can see what the balance is doing. They can reassure themselves that the money's still there. And the other one is then we have really cool niche funds. So things like an innovation fund with one of the providers where they're actually investing into startup companies. It's almost like venture capital. So it's a very high risk fund. You wouldn't put all of your money into it. But they genuinely did like a breakfast with the founders of the businesses that you're investing in, and you could bring your clients to that breakfast and they could meet the founders of the companies that they are investing in. So it makes it real. It makes it much more tangible.
Okay. I like that.
So there are, if you want something that you can actually know more about the investments, I think there are some funds that are really suited to it. And also you can actually ask your advisor if you wanted to know, hey, what am I actually investing in? What are the top 10 things in this fund? Tell me about them. Then that would be my job to go double check based on the latest reconfiguration, what are the top 10 things? And if there's a company I don't know in there, it's probably my job to go look that up and be able to tell you about it. So
love that.
Yeah, that's where the advisor piece comes in as well.
Okay. I love this. I think we both covered really good and bad points to each one because, look, in my opinion, there should always be a balance.
Yeah.
There should be a balance of what you're comfortable with and what are your big goals and plans, as you say. So for me, it's all about, I'm passionate right now about money, personalities and money traumas and financial therapy. I'm really into that, and I'm getting deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole of understanding of how we all have money story, right? Yeah. We all come from somewhere. And for me, having a property, having something tangible comes from my own money trauma. And now that I've got a few properties and I can go, okay, cool, I've got a few properties, that's now done and dusted and healed. Now let's experiment over here with investments and stuff like that. So before you go down the rabbit hole of me versus you, I think people need to understand their own, as you say, money risk profile, money traumas, and, where do they sit in all of it?
It really is a personality thing because, like I said, I just don't want a rental property for a range of reasons that, to be honest, my personal reasons aren't really money reasons. They're personality reasons of why I don't want to buy an investment property. But then when I talk to clients, it's what they enjoy. Some of them really love the idea of, I had someone who wants to set up a luxury Airbnb in Queenstown because that to her would be like a project, that she's going to really enjoy doing that. And so the aspect of, it being more work, but it won't feel like work to her, Whereas to me, I want to focus on other things right now and just know that the money's doing its own thing. And so that's where that personality thing comes in.
Yeah, and the goals for the future. So
Yes.
absolutely great. Elizabeth, this has been a fascinating podcast, I think. I really enjoyed it. I think we should do it more often and dive a little bit deeper into our own money stories. And look, guys, you can also share your own money stories with us. Would love to hear from you. Thank you so much and see you soon.
See ya.
And that's a wrap on That Home Loan Hub. Don't forget to hit subscribe and join me next time for more property tips and tricks. Your next smart move starts here.